Hey there, friends. It's been a while. Glad that you deciding to end up coming back. And this is, for those of you who are not initiated, my name's Macabre Derek. I do RPG rants. Long story short, this is mostly a channel about me getting my thoughts together on a particular topic, expressing them out to the RPG community, and moving on from there. Let the rambling begin. So, today I wanted to end up discussing Toreador. That's right. We end up wanting to discuss Toreador because recently my Malkavian has passed on, moved on away from this world for a new character to end up bringing in to the Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment started by the Gentleman Gamer and about to kick off its third season. If you care to end up joining, link should be in the low bar for you to click. Give it a try, especially those of you who always wanted to end up playing around with the system, but maybe don't have a group to end up playing with, or maybe you just want to see if it's your cup of tea. It's quite the experience, and I will say that it's probably been one of the best experiences I've had as far as building up my own ability to end up role-playing, commit to a character, bringing my own abilities up a notch. But going back to it, Toreador. Now, one thing that I'm not a fan of initially is, the frou-frou vampires, the Twilight vampires, even Anne Rice to a certain extent. Interview with the Vampire being a perfect example. I looked at that and I could see where the horror was trying to be, but I wasn't initially repulsed or, oh my god, what the hell situation, right? You end up putting me behind a Ventrue. I can understand that, that ruler, that one who tries to end up keeping everything together, to keep that big secret. I can see the Tremere, blood sorcerers, occult knowledge forgotten throughout the ages and never fully understood. Having to live under the thumb of those you are bound to, that you can't help but feel. Yeah, I can see some emotional horror coming from that. Bruja, that passion, that ideology, that fight for a cause, and the ability to fight if it needs to happen. The gangrel, that with the wild very close to that thing inside, chewing up Malkavians, an insane predator that may not be fully hinged to reality. That doesn't make them stupid, though. Oh, no. But it does mean that once they get a thought in their head and you're involved, there's a lot to be afraid of. You can end up going through the list, even outside the 7 Camerila Clans. Nosferatu, I don't need to say much else, but Toreador. What would the Clan of the Rose bring to horror, right? Why should I be afraid of a poet or a painter? Why should I be afraid of a sculptor? Yeah, we can end up doing some messed up shit in the name of art, I'm sure. That's what I initially thought. But then I ended up going to a particular blog that ended up stating about misconceptions of Toreador. I've seen plenty of fish milk concepts on the board that make me cringe, that want to play that as a joke. And I very much feel like that level is kind of where I'm at with Toreador. Because what I've discussed with Toreador is that obsession. Yeah, it can be with beauty. But what is the whole idea with beauty? It's that reconnect with humanity. And what one may find beautiful, another would not. So it's very much in the eye of the beholder. And with that, you never know what it is that's going to end up causing a Toreador to catch its eye on something. So maybe that's part of the problem. The character I have in mind is going to be a very political character, very intelligent character. Now, I'm trying to end up playing them off as such, and, well, the issue mostly ends up creeping into issues of how do you end up doing this and taking that clan weakness? What does that clan weakness say? What does the discipline say? Let's run through it. First one that probably is the least concerning is celerity. Celerity for great acts of dexterity and speed, almost seeming to teleport from one side of the room to the other with speed that goes so fast the human eye can't catch it at times. That is definitely a point in their favor, but doesn't seem to be the main point, no. And for a clan with presence, much like the Brujah, presence seems to go towards those who would lead, particularly kind, the people who are unaware of kindred existence, vampires amongst their midst. So let's wonder about that for a minute. Presence, to call somebody from anywhere and draw them to you. They can't stay safe in their house. They can't stay safe in their bedroom. Eventually, they'll feel the call. And they'll come out to greet you. Doesn't matter how many cameras they put up. If they're the ones walking away, well, that's their own decision. Doesn't matter how many locks. The locks keep things out, not keep things from coming out. And then you end up wondering, what are they going to be like when they're done? Huh? Because you have that ability to bring anyone to heel. Dread gaze, very simple point in the discipline, very effective. Can make you horrified of the absence of humanity, as the gentleman gamer put it. There's something predatorial about that, and that's all vampires are predators, I know, but Toreador seems to be the one you forget that's the case. You forget that there's a monster inside every one of them, because you look at them as, oh, the poet, the artist, the critic, the night goer, the club owner. Not really horrifying, is it? And I do enjoy horror. However, what I'm finding with Toreador seems to be less about that than it is obsession. The last discipline is Auspex. The ability to see further than you should, see details, things pick out a little bit more for you. You can see the spirit of another human being or otherwise. You can touch an object and know its history. You know what this is? Speed. You will never outrun a Toreador. Sight. Once it finds you, it will never stop looking. It knows what to look for, and so much as touching a wedding ring, it knows exactly where to end up going. It can observe you from afar, but it will be watching. Whatever it wants, it can have. And it doesn't matter who you are. They can bring you to them. A Toreador is one that will always get what they want. That's what they need. They need to end up bringing something, that point of their obsession. And what is that point of their obsession? It's that thing that makes them touch upon their humanity, only for a moment. That's kind of what I interpret the clan weaknesses, is that when they start seeing a thing of beauty, they're transfixed by it. They want it. They need it. It's something that they have to be a part of. They want to reach out and they want to smell it, touch it, taste it. They want to be enraptured by it because there's something about that image, that person, that thing, that painting, that photo, that home, that brings them back and lets them feel again. Because vampires don't inherently feel like they did. What they're feeling is the echo of life, what used to be. It's not rage and love and sadness as a human being once experienced it. They're the echo of life, and Toreador need to feel that again. They need to stay close to it. So, with that in mind, they'll see it, they'll be enraptured by it, and they will need to have it. And in their blood runs everything they need to get it. I think the reason for artists and what have you is that these types of people get the attention of a Toreador because a work they have done, or who they are, or their visage, maybe their home reminds the kindred of their family home when they were alive, when they could still enjoy a sunrise, sitting on the porch having a drink, speaking with family and friends. You know, of those moments that every one of us took for granted. And they need that. They need to have it again. And even if it's just where it happened, they'll want it. And then they'll get it, because Toreador can pretty much get anything they want if they want it badly enough. And the problem with wanting it badly enough is that sometimes pesky little things like the laws or your humanity are just getting in the way. So they may brush that aside and say, damn the consequences, I need this, much like a addict. And that's one of the key differences, I think, that applies to Toreador. See, with the Malkavians, they may be insane, but they have to rein that in somehow. Much like the beast, they need to rein that in. They need to remain functioning, because that madness may take them into a place that will lead to their destruction. And what's good is eternity if you're just going to be dead in half an hour. With Ventru, they know not to feed on particular things outside of their particular tastes. Those refined, rarer tastes makes it very difficult for a Ventru to continue on. Forces them to gather and take stock. Brujah might lose his temper. So a Brujah, in order to maintain, has to be sure to have some control over the situation, or at least have the common sense not to put themselves in a situation where they may frenzy in front of the court. The Tremere bloodbound so easily, have to be paranoid about the blood and exposure to it in any sort. It's precious to them, not only in their rituals, but it's the thing that holds the entire pyramid together. Toreador, on the other hand, have the opposite problem. You see, their weakness is what they are hunting for. Unlike every other clan, a Toreador may, in fact, be going after the situation to go back into that entrancement. They want to be entranced because that means they, for that brief moment, are experiencing what it means to be human. I need this. I need it. Let me feel alive again. Don't let me feel this numb boredom that goes on and on and on. Don't let it be an eternity of this. I will lose my mind. When your senses are so sharp and you can take your time to see everything in detail, how far does it go? How far would you have to end up going just to experience and shake you out of that jadedness that's slowly starting to take over your life? Because eventually, how many experiences can you have with eternity? How difficult can it be, especially if you decide to isolate yourself? How hard can it be? Playing the court, yeah, it's a dangerous game, but at least it's not boring. Or at least it shouldn't be, because if it gets boring, well, you might want to have to shake things up. What else, though? The kind. People. Human beings. They're needed. They're absolutely needed. Because the kind change faster than anything else on this planet. They change socially, technologically. Even in diversity, things make sweeping changes from left to right all the time. Right to left, it doesn't matter. You want to see that change, and because you see that change, you can be swept up in it. It can be a little bit exciting. But again, obsession. Because if you end up risking that, what do? Yeah, you're the socialite. Because you can't afford to maintain that level of inactivity. So what do? You get involved with the kind. You see them. Maybe you love them. Get involved in their life. And then you may feel a jealous rage when they introduce you to their spouse or their family. Maybe you want their attention, so you start bringing them out further reaches. Maybe run away with me for a little while. Maybe that warmth, that caress means that you need to hold that individual. And your nature kicks in. You drain them. You take too much, you kill them. Yeah. First few times that's going to be traumatizing. But afterwards, what's even worse is you become jaded with it. I've accidentally broken my new toy. Well, there's at least a dumpster right here. Move on. After all, that boredom is something that you need to avoid, so go on to the next. look around in the nights amongst the kind and try and find that next one that inspires, that lets you reconnect with that humanity, that sense of feeling like you're human. It doesn't matter after a while how low that humanity scale of your character drops, as long as you get what you want. And consider the nature of the people who are embraced by this. You're probably beautiful, many Toreador are. Why? Because they fell victim to this obsession and just so happened to be embraced when they were the focus of obsession of another kindred. But that obsession wanes. Eventually they get bored. Move on. Maybe they get angry because of it. I was told that the wrath of a Toreador would make a Bruja or Gangrel blush. Revenge turned into an art form, quoted the gentleman gamer. And I'm thinking about that and I'm going, yes, but wouldn't such a person be slighted by almost everything? How horrifying is that? That you start to find slights in everything. You are almost purposely going out of your way to be offended at that point and not even know it, because you start to get obsessed with this and then realize it has turned the person who you taken in as maybe a lover or a fixation notices you and starts to run the other way, tries to get away from you, maybe tries to call the police on you. And now you're disappointed, you're hurt. You can't let that come to pass. Maybe you do it out of jealousy. The revenge drains a human of everything. That's just it. Toreador could be considered one of the ultimate consumers because that's what they do. They need to consume. They need to proactively be doing something. Their position in the Camerila is a real simple one in that regard. They acquire. They don't need money. They don't need stock. They don't need a job, really. Think about how far you could go just by having the ability to, everybody in the room loves you. And you want a drink, there it is. Somebody's going to buy it for you. You want a place to stay. Yeah, rich guy there looks like he might have a spare room or something. Might appreciate the company. Of course, when you get there, you may end up making a lunch out of the housemaid. Maybe the butler. Maybe his wife and kids. You get what you want because it's offered to you through nothing more than the innate abilities granted to you by the blood. You will try and give back. You give back by maintaining the masquerade, upholding the traditions. You give back by using these abilities and your knowledge and your skills to push forward your own agendas and those who you may be in close ally with. But in the end, it's all about the blood. And it's all about that feeling about needing to be human. if only for a little while. Pretty horrible, if you ask me. Those are the thoughts I have on Clan Toreador. If you found this at all insightful or helpful, feel free to press the like button. You know where the subscribe button is, and you know why you'd click it. You've probably already made that decision. Still, if you want to follow for more rants on Vampire the Masquerade, maybe a few Black Crusade, Pathfinder, or role-playing in general, go ahead. And if you have any kind of topic you want me to cover, feel free to list it in the comments. Got a few gone on the back burner I'd like to get to soon. Lastly, if you're interested at all in playing Vampire the Masquerade, and you have a webcam, half-decent headset, and you're not afraid to end up going on camera to end up making a complete fool of yourself one night or doing something horrible the next, feel free to sign up for VTMYTE, Vampire the Masquerade YouTube Experiment Season 3, coming up. I hope to see some of you there.